Let's see. Hey, Renee. Oh, yeah, it's quite a surprise this morning. Wake up with over a foot of snow on the ground. Our willow tree in the backyard took a beating, so I got a lot of limbs to cut up. But yeah, we're all shoveled out here, and our power's back on. We lost power we went out about 12:30 last night, and we got it back on around 10:30, 11. So we're good. Hey, Christina. Hey, Sadie. Hey, sis. Mr. Backleda, how you doing? So I'll get started here in a couple minutes. I'm just getting things set up here. My studio is a mess. Did anybody else get snow, or just central Maine get dumped on? I think everybody else got rain. We got just tons and tons of snow. It's spring in Maine. So I just have these couple of pieces here. These are some samples I did for a proposed book that's out on submission right now. And these are just gouache paintings. So just wanted people to know that I don't just draw in pencil. I do paint in gouache. And I do work digitally sometimes, but I'm kind of going back to painting gouache. I just really love mixing color and smearing paint around on paper. So there's just one gouache painting. I can't tell you too much about the story because, like I said, it is out on submission right now. And here's another sample from it. And like this is just gouache on, I think 60 pound Bristol. I think that's what I'm using on this. Yeah, I can slide that up like that. And then we'll get started. Oh, let's see. Oh, it is one. Okay. Is everybody doing okay? Everybody staying healthy? It is Friday, so that's good. Oh, thank you, Renee. Yeah, this was fun to count the characters and do the little sample pieces for this. This was great. Yeah, this guy's quite the character in the story, so he's really, really funny. So let me just move these out of the way. Hey, Ellen, how are you? Kelsey, how are things in Rangeley? Did you get a lot of snow? Kelsey, did you lose power as well? Oh, thank you. Thanks, Ellen. Oops. All right, I guess I need a piece of tape. Hold on, I have to let a cat on my studio or it's just going to be pandemonium. I'll be right back here. Oops. There. You want it out? You're out. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm back. Let me just take this. So what I did, sorry that I had to hop on later today. Again, we lost power here in Maine. And oh, there's a cat fight outside the door. Oh, that's interesting. So we lost power for a good 10 hours starting last night. So my phone wasn't charged and I didn't have internet service. So that is why we're starting a little later today. But I did ask some people, or posted, I was taking requests on developing a character. So I'm just going to kind of start sketching. So I picked two that I really liked. Of course, I get a lot of requests to draw cats. I'm going to draw a cat for one. And then the other one was an evil butterfly, which is quite a challenge. I don't think I've ever drawn an evil butterfly before. So let's just start with the cat here. Let me center this a bit more. Did my words? Okay, I think I bumped something here. Kelsey, did you run out of power? I mean, did you run out of power? Did your power go out last night? Hey, Chris. Kelsey, how much snow did you get in where you live? You usually get a lot more than we do. Here, let me get this piece of tape. Oh, the cats are fighting outside the door. So if you hear that in the background, it's just a typical day in my studio. Can everybody see that okay? Yeah, I need to move that over. I think I keep bumping my phone here. Let's just put that there. There we go. So the first character I'm going to draw is a cat, because Jean, it's Jean on. She requests cats every time. Oh, you got about 13. Okay, you got a little more than we did. Good. Oh, that's good that you didn't lose power for too long. So anyway, I'm going to draw a cat, and I'm just going to start drawing. I have no idea here. I'm just kind of winging things. And let's see, make sure I got the right side of the paper. Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to draw, maybe turn it sideways here. Let's turn it this way. Take this down. All right, so I'm going to draw a cat. So I'm just going to kind of sketch this out. And let's see, what can the cat be doing? How about a cat in a Cadillac? Well, something like that. So I like vintage cars, so he's going to be in a vintage Cadillac, I should say. All right, so we'll make the fins kind of match the cat ears, so it kind of ties them together. And let's see. I think so. Nope, my wife's yelling at the cats. I guess they're acting up other parts of the house. Okay, let's just block this in. I'm getting too many details here. Let's do that. Here's the front. Again, the cat ears to match this. A cat driving a Cadillac. Maybe it's a gigantic cat, or maybe it's just a toy Cadillac. I'm not sure. So let's do that. And I think vintage Cadillac has 2 headlights on each fender. Okay, let's do that. Again, I'm just kind of blocking things in. I'm not worrying about it being too exact here. And this is my version of a vintage Cadillac. So I'm trying to look up, see if anybody has any questions or anything while I'm drawing. Uh-oh, the cats really did it now. My wife's yelling at them. Okay, so let's just do this. Again, I don't put too many details in. I'm just trying to get information on here. I think that's what a Cadillac looks like. Let's see. Oh yeah, we got to do that. So again, everything stays real sketchy. Okay, let's make this go up, and gotta have those vintage bumpers. Thanks, Mike. Hey, Denise. All right. And those old cars had that strip of metal down the side. I'm drawing a blank on what that's called. All right, let's work on the cat. It spent too long on the car. I was in to draw on the car. That wasn't the request. So let's see here. Draw my center line. I always draw my center line. Let's give the cat some big eyes here. Maybe this is a little more like that. And then I usually kind of block in the nose. Okay, let's give him a little tiny mouth. Hey, Steve, that's my neighbor. Do those extension cords work out for you okay? So again, I'm just kind of... Okay, he's got to grip the steering wheel, right? So let's just do that. Let's give him some big eyes. I usually don't draw big eyes, but and we'll make his whiskers kind of bending back. Like this. And he has to have that vintage seat. So there, I just kind of block this in real quick. I don't like the tires. I think they're a little too big. I like them smaller. So sometimes what I'll do, I don't erase too much. I just may wipe it slightly with a tissue to soften it, because those are kind of my guidelines. What also it does, it kind of tones the paper a little bit. So let's, all right, let's refine this again. He lost power. Yes. Oh, is drawing with me. Okay, great. So you'll have to send me your drawing, though. So now I'm going to work on the nose. I kind of like starting with the nose. And let's see here. Let's just do that. Some dots for his whisker, bottom of his mouth. Let's go to the eyes. Can everybody see okay? Okay. All right. Kind of just refining the sketch a little bit. All right, let's make his hair kind of going back a little bit. Let's get some curve in his ears, or her ears. All right. So there we go. Kind of draw cats a bunch of different ways. There's not really any one way I can draw a cat. David Bedrecki is the master of drawing cats. If you haven't seen his book, Sumo Kitty, it's great. I love that cat character. So he should be on here. Direct me on how to draw a cat. So let's just do that. And the steering wheel, let's give it a vintage steering wheel. Okay, there we go. So let's just do this. Again, I'm just still blocking in. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask. I'll try to lean back and answer. What is Gigi doing? Gigi is making pillow cushions today. That is what she's doing. Okay, let's, I don't know, I'm kind of into drawing the car more than the cat, so let's do that. And then, again, I'm not putting a lot of detail because at this stage I may start erasing or may not like something, so I don't try to get too committed just yet. And let's see, I love the vintage bumpers. Again, this is my version of a Cadillac. So any vintage car purist, please don't send me hate mail like, you drew that improperly. Yeah, I know, I probably did. Any questions? Anybody have any questions? Everybody doing okay? Everybody staying healthy? Trying to stay sane while we get through this this craziness. Let's just do that. Let's curve that over. Okay, still just blocking things in. I'm gonna make the tires really small. I think they should be really small here. Oh yeah, of course, Andrew, you would definitely point that out. Andy and I and Tanya went to art school together. So that was that 40 years ago, Andy? Yes, the tail. All right. Thank you. I knew I forgot something. All right, what should we do? All right. How about we make the tail just go out the back like this? How's that? Is that working for you? Okay. Did here, nice cat. Thank you. All right. Now I'm going to have to erase. There we go. Oh, got to do the arms. So again, I just kind of keep things sketchy. And then when I get things the way I like them, then I start kind of refining. 70. Oh, that's right, Mike. You went to art school with us as well. Yeah, that was like 70 years ago. And we had a good time in art school. Maybe too much of a good time. All right, so now at this point, I'm going to start refining. So I'll try not to cover up the drawing too much because I do want to draw the evil butterfly. That was the other request I had. So again, so I keep things kind of sketchy, and then I just refine and refine and refine. And I usually work a lot quicker than this. But I'm trying to see if there's any questions or comments. Let's see here. There we go. I guess that's looking like, is that looking like a cat? All right, let's do that. Again, this is my version of a cat driving, I guess, a toy car. Because definitely the proportions are way off, but that's okay. We're just having fun today. It's not like this will get used for anything. Hey, Emma, how are you? Pat, my Who buddy. All right, I have to put the little scar tissue on his ear as a tribute to our cats, because our cats are all strays, and many of them have scar tissues. All right, let's do that and get the tail here. Thanks, Emma. Yes, we do need some Who music. I can't even talk right now, sorry. Oh, my cat just knocked something over. Okay. Welcome to the day in the life of my studio. That's why I usually work with headphones on. So when they do this craziness, I can tune them out. Andy, I don't think you're a Who fan. Is that correct? I remember you in art school. I don't think you liked the Who. I think we had this discussion in art school. So refresh my memory. Yeah, we still remain friends. That's okay. Not everybody can like the same stuff. Chrissy, how are you doing? How are things up north? Did you guys lose power at all? Yeah, that's what I thought, Andy. I didn't think you were a fan. I don't know how I remembered that. Especially when I can't remember what I did at like an hour ago. Well, I do know what I did an hour ago. I was shoveling snow. So let's just keep it kind of sketchy. Again, oh, I better do with the hands, right? I guess they're not really hands, they're paws. All right. I call them hands. And a cat just sneezed on something. Probably a piece of artwork I have out. That's what they usually do. Thank you. Yeah, we're glad the power's back on too. Definitely a busy morning. Spent 3 hours cleaning the driveway and not sidewalks, but front porch and everything. I don't know if I like this. That happens. Sometimes you start a drawing and you're just like, I don't like it. I'm kind of bored with it already. What do you guys think? Continue. Continue, or should we draw something else? Oh, we need the side mirror here. Oh yeah, need to see a little bit of the dashboard. Let's put a little tone there. If you don't like it, change it up. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I. Oops, sorry, I just bumped my phone. I'm not sure if I like this, but that's okay. That happens sometimes. You'll start drawing. Evil butterfly. Should I get to the evil butterfly? It is a pedal car, you're right. That's exactly what that is. All right, let's do the evil butterfly. And if I feel like it, if there's time, I'll come back if people are interested. So, all right, I'm just gonna get rid of this for right now. Let's draw the evil butterfly. So here we go. Evil butterfly, all right, let's see, how can we make, all right, let's see, a butterfly. Now this is gonna be my version of a butterfly, so it'd probably be a little demented looking. So let's just kind of get the body sketched in. Okay, butterfly wings. Oh, I think I drew it just a little too big. You know what? I'll just flip it over and start over. All right, how's that? All right, evil butterfly. All right, let's do this. I'm gonna make the head a little larger. There's the body. And let's see. I forget what butterfly wings look like. Well, they're going to be my version of butterfly wings, all right? So again, if you're a purist, if you know a lot about butterflies, I'm sorry. All right, let's see. All right, let's draw. I'm going to start with the head. Give it big eyes. Let's see. Let's give a butterfly teeth. So we have that little snout that comes down, right? Don't they have these little snouts? I guess I need to look at butterflies. I haven't looked at it any in a while. Of course, it's hard to look at butterflies in the winter. All right. Actually, it looks more like a mosquito. It's going to be a hybrid. Vintage butterfly mosquito. How's that sound? And let's give it some... hairy eyebrows here. All right, let's do my center line. Oh, yeah, they have the antennas. So let's... I know they're nice and curved, but this is evil, so nothing's going to be too curved on this. Then maybe... Oops. Can you see okay? Everybody see all right? So this one... I'm going to make it a little wonky here. Yeah, give a little bit of hairline. Let's change the shape of this a little bit. All right, and I think they have eyes like this. I don't know. I haven't been studying up on my butterflies. Or, again, could be a hybrid butterfly mosquito. Jason, how are you doing? How are things in Lancaster? Jason's a great artist. You should definitely check out his work. We have one of his pieces hanging up in our house. It's the, oh my God, the name just flew out of my head. I'll think of it in a second. Okay. So again, people just joining. I was asked to draw an evil butterfly. And it's kind of a hybrid mosquito looking thing right now. So I'm just kind of working. All right, let's see. I think is this a thorax? Is that what they call those on a bug? Again, I don't know that much about insects, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. Let's see. Oh, it's going to need legs. Yeah. This leg go down like that. Again, I'm just winging this, so any butterfly purists, please do not send me hate mail. Like, you got this all wrong. I know that it's probably wrong. Butterfly has six legs, I think. So let's go up. And let's see, I think they kind of go down like this. What paper am I using? I'm using a Bristol board. It's a, hold on a second. I think I still have it right here. It is a Strathmore Smooth Bristol. It's the 300 series. All right, so this and then this leg. We might as well do both legs. And that should go back like that as well. I don't know. I think I really messed this up. That's okay. Sometimes you just do bad drawings. No matter what you do, you just have one of those days where you just can't draw anything. Wow, that looks more like a mosquito. All right, I'm just going to turn this sideways so I can get some tone in here. You guys think that looks more like a mosquito? Okay, let's get some shading in. Okay, so if it's evil, it's not going to have pretty wings. Let's kind of make them ratty. Maybe a tribute to Silence of the Lambs. Thanks, Andy. Silence of the Lambs, we'll put a skull on the wing pattern. It sure looks evil when it does. Yeah, it is definitely more of a mosquito. But I guess that's what happens when you make a butterfly evil. Will it look more like a mosquito? I don't know. I tell you what, your homework is you should draw your version of an evil butterfly and send it to me so I know what it looks like, because apparently I'm really messing this up. There. I don't know if that's a tribute to Silence of the Lambs or the Punisher. Silence of the Punisher. And this happens sometimes when you're trying to just draw from memory. You kind of forget what things look like. Oh yeah, I guess we need to draw things over here. And I'll just put some tone in to push that wing back. Thanks, Emma. Oh man, I should have looked up what a butterfly looks like before I did this. That's okay, just winging it. Definitely not a portfolio piece. Wow. Are these bugs that attack? That's funny. Kelsey, only if you throw them at her, right? All right. Next time I do a request, I will do some research. Yeah, that's a good one, Ellen. Yes, I'm just winging it. I'm not doing a good job either, so that's great. It almost looks like the mosquito from the Raid commercials back in the day. Remember that mosquito? It's kind of what it looks like. I just think I'm having an off day drawing. I was in a lecture one time for, it was Marshall Arisman. If you don't know who Marshall Arisman is, he was a big-time illustrator in the 80s and 90s, did a lot of album covers and Time magazine covers. Did a really unique style. When you saw one of his pieces, you knew exactly who it was. So he did this lecture, and this guy stands up and goes, I'm a really big fan of yours. You're such a great illustrator. How do you do it? How do you be consistent? And he goes, I only show you the good pieces. The other 90% are garbage. So that always makes you feel good, knowing that not everybody does good drawings all the time. Corona fly. Yes, Renee. Yeah, that is true. That is definitely a mosquito. All right, evil mosquito. Why not? Of course, I don't think you have to do much to make a mosquito evil. Give them little hooks like that. And I know they have kind of, I don't know what's going on here. This drawing's just getting away from me. It's a mess. So, if anybody's drawing along, send me your evil butterfly. I know, I heard about Mort Drucker. Yeah, he needs dripping blood. Yeah, Mort Drucker. I love Mad Magazine. It was a big influence on me. Mort and Jack Davis, all those guys. Well, that's my evil butterfly. I think it's a failed attempt. So, well, this one would definitely go in the garbage. All right, I'm going to go back to the cat. So I did my evil butterfly or evil mosquito. So let's go back to the cat. Maybe I can salvage this. So we started this earlier, and I was just sketching it in. So I'm going to kind of get a little heavy-handed with my pencil line. So I'm going to rotate this. I try not to do it when I'm doing these drawing live things, but sometimes you just have to. So let's do this. So cats get to drive around, and I can't. Well, they said the animals are taking over the world again, so which is good. I guess that's a good thing. It'd be nice to see a moose, standing in the backyard here. I've only seen one since I've been in Maine for 12 years now. So I've only seen one moose, so maybe one will show up here at the house. Does anybody have any questions? Feel free to ask me any question. All right, I like drop shadows, so to give it some depth. And let's push this wing back a little bit. Any questions? So people just joining. So we started this cat when I first logged on, and it wasn't going anywhere. Then I drew an evil, it's supposed to be an evil butterfly, but it turned into a mosquito. And we ditched that one. I've come back to this drawing, and hopefully I can do something with this. And that happens sometimes. It just doesn't click. So when that happens, I usually just stop and put my tools away and go watch a movie or read a book and try again another day. How do you replicate a character, creature consistently? That's a really good question. Well, for me, like if I was going to have, you mean like turning the character, just in different poses? Well, you kind of have the start here. And I always like trying to draw my characters in a 3/4 view because I think it makes it easier when you do a side view. You know that this is going to stick out. Or if you're doing a straight on view, you can still keep this shape consistently. Another thing I do is I just throw tracing paper on top of this. If I really wanted to refine this, I think I have a piece of tracing paper here. Let me take this down. So I would just take this down. Let me center that so everybody can see. So I love tracing paper. It's a great tool. So if I was going to refine this, I could do, tweak the nose. Kind of like his mouth. Like his mouth small, but this I'd probably shorten because this is going to be shorter than this because we're doing a 3/4 view. Again, you can draw your center line if you want. And maybe you do see the bridge of his nose a little bit. Then it kind of goes into the eye. Then maybe the eye's not so rounded, it's more teardrop shape. So I always just kind of experiment. I don't settle for the first character I draw. But I've done different variations of a character and gone back to the first one, but I try not to just like, oh, that's it. That's just how I do it. I kind of like this eyes a little more teardropped. And then we'll soften up these lines a little bit. And then maybe, maybe he has a little cheek that sticks out a little bit like that. And goes in. And maybe this ear, it's not so straight, a little more wonky. I don't know what you guys think. I'm kind of liking the way this one's looking better than the first one. Any thoughts? that time, going back to your question, I would just throw tracing paper over it, and then I would turn it sideways. After you draw it a number of times, you kind of understand how they're supposed to look. So maybe I'll just do that so it's not so straight. Tom, did I answer your question okay? Did I get off track and just start rambling? So what I would do then is I would just take another piece of tape, and I would tape this down, and then I'd fold up the tracing paper like this. I better tape that down. I buy my tracing paper in a roll, so that's why it curls like this. Yeah, it is, Christina. It's what you just try to do when you're developing a character. At least that's how I do it. And then, this time I may make his eyes. Well, here's what we're going to do. So I'm going to do this. And maybe go back to the original nose and the mouth. But I won't draw the shape of the head. I'm going to make these eyes a little smaller. So this is actually going to be, so it's not so wall-eyed, and I think that's what it's called, right? After the fish. And then what I'll do, if you can see okay, then I'll move this around. Like, oh, maybe I like it. Sorry, I'm just going to tear that. Where's my X-Acto knife? There we go. So I will cut this. And then I'll move it around. Like, do I like it higher? Do I like it lowered? Or I kind of actually like it a little higher. And then you use a lot of tape. I just buy cheap masking tape. So I'll tape that down. And then I'll, okay. Maybe I'll try the shape of his head this way. Gives a little more character. Plus, you can play with the round with the wind's blowing it. And I'll do that. And then maybe we'll blow his ears back. So get some more movement in. I kind of draw my cats with bigger ears. And this one, I don't know, I think it's too big. So I'm just going to erase this. I don't like these ears. Let's make them smaller. Oh, I like them smaller. What do you guys think? Smaller? Yes? Let's give him or her. Okay. Get some movement in the whiskers. Let's make this a little floofy here. So I'm liking this character a lot better than what I started with, and what we just did 2 steps. So started with this one, which is okay. Actually, I like the car better than I did the cat. And oh yeah, good idea, Sam. I was going to put driving goggles on. Then we did this one, which was a little better, but I'm really liking this one. Okay, all right, Sam, just for you. The driving scarf. We'll make that blowing in the wind as well. And let's see, what was the other thing? Oh, driving gloves. All right, we can put the driving gloves on. That's fairly easy. So like that. And maybe driving goggles. Kind of give it a, like those old steampunk goggles. So that's what I do. I just kind of start playing around. I just play around adding things, see if I like it or not. That's a good idea, Sam. Thank you. I like the scarf and the gloves. Scarf might be a little too long. How about we shorten it right there? Oh, snow's falling off the roof. I thought it was thunder for a second. So let's just put some shadow under there. And shadow like this. What do you guys think? You like this one better? I think it definitely has a bit more personality. Thanks, Amy. I mean, if this was an established character, you wouldn't have to go through all this, but this, we're just trying to establish the look of her character. And let's get some... Go in, refine some of these lines. So again, we started out with this one, which was okay. It's kind of bland. Again, I love the car more than the character. And then we... Can you show this out and draw? Okay, sure. I can do that. And then we went to this one, which was okay. Definitely better. But I didn't like the big eyes. And then this is what we ended up with, which I think, yes, Renee, I agree with you, has more personality. I think there's more options, you know, different expressions. Like, you know, you can, if you had it straight on, you know, this is like this. So this would always be your basic shape for the character. So Tom, this is another thing, basic shape. So if it's looking straight on, you know, you can kind of, you want to make it mad. Because you already kind of established the shape. You can do things like that. So I'll transfer this drawing. Okay, we can do that. Okay, there's a couple different ways. So I'm just going to do the head. So let me remove all this, the 400 pieces of tape. So grab a sheet of paper here. Well, I have tons of pieces of paper here, but kind of clean one. I like sketching a book right now. Actually, a couple of books. All right, we'll just do this. Okay. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. Some people, when they draw on the tracing paper, when they start refining, they'll actually they will flip it. But since I didn't do that, so you can flip it, and you can take a, do I have anything? No, let's see if this will do it. You can rub the back of it. It's like a burnishing tool. And they'll start transferring. So again, you take the trace paper, you can draw on this side, and then rub this side and transfer it. And I'm gonna grab a sheet of Cyril. And this is how I usually transfer it. This is Sorel paper. This is what it looks like. Everybody get that? I'll run it across again. I've had this paper for 30 years. So you can buy it in pencil, you can buy it in different colors. I usually use the non-repro blue. So you can tape it down. Let's see, where's one of these pieces of tape? Tape it down. Hey Stacy, how you doing? So what I would do is probably make a copy of this. I'd scan it and print it out, make a copy, or run it through a photocopier so I don't draw on the original sketch in case I have to go back and transfer it again. But I'm just going to draw over top this. And let's see, we'll have a ballpoint pen. It's always better to have a pen. I'll have this. Okay. So then I just kind of draw the basic shapes that I need to transfer. And again, you're just tracing over. And I would do this. You guys should follow Stacy Curtis. He's an excellent artist. Stacy, do you know about Sorel? I'm sure you do. You remember Sorel transfer paper? You know, you just kind of trace over it. And then when you lift it up, oops, not the frame here, but when you lift it up, see it's all transferred. And that's how I did these pieces here. If you look closely, you can see the blue. Let's see if I can point these out without drawing on this. You can see the blue of the transfer around the edges, and then I just paint over it with gouache. And this one did the same thing. I don't know if you can see any of the blue because I kind of covered it pretty well. But yeah, there you can see some of the blue from transferring. So again, this was just a pencil drawing. I scanned it in, printed it out in black and white, and then put the Sorel paper down, and then transferred, and then painted. So that's kind of how I do it. That's a good question. Denise, did I answer your question okay? So we were drawing this cat. All right, let's go back to the cat. So here's the cat that we started with, which was okay. It's just a starting point. Again, kind of like the car. And then put a piece of tracing paper over. We refined it to this one, which was okay. And then we refined that to this one. So what I would do now is I would cut this. Let me cut this real quick. Get rid of this extra tracing paper. So I would cut that and then lay that over top. And then Beth, how you doing? I haven't talked to you in ages. So then I tape that down. And at this point, I actually may refine the car a little bit. Like I think it should be a little lower. Maybe have a little more movement. This is a Cadillac. We came up with that. Yeah, I like that a lot better because it has a little more personality. So this is my version of a Cadillac. So again, it's always just refining and refining and refining. And then I may just take, since I'm not going to use this one, sorry if you don't like the sound of ripping paper. I don't I use the tiniest bit of scraps as possible. I'll just tear that. And put that over top. Then maybe refine it a little more. And I always draw center lines, just my thing. It's being trained in art school. And working with Olena. If you don't know Olena Babic, she's an incredible artist and teacher. She does beautiful figurative work and portraits, and plus her landscapes are just winning all kinds of awards. She travels and paints alla prima. But I took some classes with her, and she kind of reminded me about center lines and working with all this stuff, so I kind of got back to using that. Does he need a goatee or a cat tee? I kind of like that. That was just an accident. Oops. All right, and we can move this around a little bit, move this up. So he's just a happy cat. Again, you know, I probably used this piece of tape 20 times. Let's see here. Let's make the goggles a little smaller there. And let's kind of let's work on the goggles a little bit. So since his head's turned, it's going to be wider here and then wider on the inside. And I put a little tone there. And same thing here. Again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. It doesn't have to be about what I'm drawing here. If there's any other questions. All right, let's give this a little more flair. And maybe actually make his eyes just a little smaller. So it's always refining, refining, refining. At least that's my approach. And let's get some eyebrows up here. What's the meaning of life? I think Monty Python addressed that pretty well. I don't know if I can top their explanation. Especially if you can see the fishies. Yeah, I'm liking this guy. It has to be a guy now with the goatee, right? And I'm actually going to make his whiskers a little smaller. All right, stay safe, Mike. You too, Emma. We'll see you next time. Be safe, everyone. If you're logging off, I'm going to wrap this up in a couple minutes. I'm just kind of refining this drawing a little bit. So that's kind of my process. So again, we started with this. And then we went to this using tracing paper. And that was looking okay. It was getting someplace. And then we went to this. And now we ended up with this. So if I remove this, I'd kind of go back to the original drawing, tape this down, and maybe tweak the body a little bit. Maybe we should be leaning back. It's too straight up. You also have to think about body position to make sure it has movement and life to it. So maybe something like that. Again, can't forget the tail. Shorten that a little bit. And the scarf. I don't want the scarf to follow the same shape of the tail, so maybe they overlap a little bit. that's kind of how I do it. That's my process. And sometimes I will actually do these rough sketches on a computer. I use Clip Studio, which used to be Manga Studio, and I'll sketch in that. I don't use Photoshop to draw. I just think, for me, Clip Studio is a lot faster, and it's actually made to draw into Paint in. Not that I don't like Photoshop, I love Photoshop, but for me, drawing and painting, I definitely use, if I'm working digitally, Clip Studio Pro. But I will do a lot of this on that until I get it kind of roughed out to where I like it, and then I'll print it out and then really refine it with pencil and tracing paper or copier paper. Okay, any last questions before we call it a day? Because I was shoveling snow for like 2.5 hours this morning, so I'm a bit tired. Okay, so fun. Okay, thank you. Oh, thanks, Kay. Yeah, happy Easter, everyone. And if you have any questions that you think of later, you can always just shoot me a message. You can send a private message, or you can ask a question, because I will post this video. I started a YouTube channel, so I will post the video on there. Feel free to share it, pass it around. You don't have to ask permission. Yes, Clip Studio, is it Studio Pro or Clip Studio Art? Something like that. Sometimes Amazon sells it for like $19. It's really, I think the regular price is like $50. It's great. I've only had it crash one time, and that's because I was doing way too many things with it. So I was just layers and drawing. I was just experimenting with brushes, so I was trying all kinds of different things. So yeah, I definitely like it better than Photoshop. And a lot of the comic book artists use it. So, well, thank you. I'm glad everybody enjoyed this. So again, I will post this on my YouTube channel, and you can feel free to pass it around, share it, subscribe to it, wherever you like to do. This is fun. And then I will see everybody next Friday at 10 o'clock. All right, take care. Bye-bye.